Kingdom in a nutshell. As we play our kingdom, we'll be confronted by a series of crossroads. Each is an important choice the kingdom must make in a major chapter of our story. Will the kingdom invade its neighbor? Will we outlaw magic? Our decisions will change the course of our story, so it's important we pick crossroads that interest us. Before we decide before we decide which path the kingdom takes, we'll play scenes to learn more about the situation and what our characters think and do about it. Our roles give us different ways to influence what happens, both as characters and players. So that's when you talk about perspective, touchstone, and power. If you feel your character has changed and your old role doesn't suit, you can change roles to something that fits better. And if someone is using their role to take the kingdom in a direction you do not like, you can overthrow them and take their role for yourself.
With
After
your
we've played
character,
scenes
though, right? Not with...
Yes, you're...
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. After
Not
we played
with your
scenes
minor
and learned more
character.
about...
Or another
No.
character. Alright.
Unless we decide to, like, kind of do a little bit of a homebrew and let our minor characters take roles too, which we can discuss. I don't know if we want to do that or if we want to just play straight this way, at least starting out. We could do a crossroad without them counting and then decide if we want to add them or something. Mm-hmm. After we played scenes and learned more about the crossroads, it is power and only power who picks the kingdom's path. Perspective sets the consequences. Touchstone shows us what the people want. And then power makes the choice we all have to live with. Then we'll start a new crossroad to confront the next decision the kingdom must make. But be warned, if any of us think that things have gone too far, the kingdom could reach a crisis and risk destruction, ending our game. Push for what you want, but be ready to face the consequences if you push too hard. Okay, at the start of the game, we pick a player to go first. Oh. Who wants to go first?
Well, I don't really know what we do first. I mean, you just read a lot of stuff we do, but I don't...
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is we make a crossroad. So whoever goes first can make a crossroad. Do you want me to read about making crossroads?
Yeah, if you don't care.
Each crossroad is an important decision the kingdom must make. It must be something the kingdom does or decides, not something that is done to it. Because each crossroad is a major chapter of our game, it's important to pick something we all care about. When it's your turn to make a crossroad, pose a simple yes or no decision the kingdom must make. Will the kingdom, and then the example they have is, will Cactus Flats outlaw liquor? Or will the Isle of Sorcery allow the refugees to settle here? Something like this would be, what's a good example with our one right now? Well, I guess if I had an example, we'd have a crossroad. After you come up with the crossroad, ask if other players are interested in it. If they aren't, then we might try again. If they are, then we'll do that crossroad. Once everybody agrees, describe the situation confronting the kingdom. What is happening? Why do we have to make this decision now? Invent any details you need to explain why this decision is confronting us. You can dream up droughts, attacking armies, fiscal crisis, paint a clear picture we can all visualize. Don't describe the consequences of choosing yes or no, or what the kingdom does, because that's basically what we're going to do with all our scenes. So
our threats that exist are the cloaks, the internal descent, and civil unrest.
Yeah, so if you need an idea for a crossroad, good starting point is to look at the threats.
Will the kingdom work together with the city guard to try to resolve the threat of the cloaks?
Okay.
So will the kingdom work with the city guards to resolve the threat of the cloaks? Basically, will the kingdom work together against the cloaks? Will the kingdom work with the city guard against the cloaks together? Will the kingdom... I'll just keep saying it.
I mean, is everybody okay with that being our first
I'm good
crossroads?
with that.
No, I think that's a good one. Yeah. I was thinking something similar, but yours is better than what I was thinking. So
Carson, since he set the crossroad, will also set the first scene. Show what your character thinks or does about the crossroad.
Now, do I do my perspective power? Do I do that in scene, like as advice, or do I do it outside the scene?
You can do it. You usually want it to be involved in a scene.
Okay.
So setting up a scene would be like, let me look at all the characters and stuff. I would be playing. So of course I'm dancing Peace. I'm trying to think. I feel like dancing Heath wouldn't be good with this. I think it'd be better for me to be Vol Revel if I was going to start with a scene. Maybe for the first scene, it would...
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I think the reason this is happening now, before we set a scene, I think the reason this is happening now is because the cloak's presence is being discussed more openly, which is part of the civil unrest. It is not being dealt with economically or efficiently by the monastery nor the the city guard at the moment, which is leading into the fractures within the ideology of the monastery itself, and of course the cloaks themselves are becoming a bigger threat. So like it's not being able to be ignored any longer. It is just causing dissent in a couple of different ways, and criminal activity is on the rise. And so I think that Aaron has sent Cassidy to speak with the head of the city guard at the guard's quarters to discuss potentially working together to resolve this more efficiently.
Okay. Yeah.
What are they? What do the cloaks do? Are they like thieves? Are they like what? Are they out and about like ambushing like shipments in from other cities? What are they? What is their main source of crime? Basically, what?
Weapons manufacturing.
Oh, I like that actually.
Weapons manufacturing and like an intricate spy network.
Yeah. And so maybe a lot of what they do is stealing like shipments of materials that the monastery would like for its own weapons. Maybe they've even broken. Maybe one of the things that is maybe one of the main catalysts right now is that actually some of them managed to steal from the provisioners' quarter or provisioners. What's it called? The provisioner
is what we have.
Yeah, provisioners' quarters. Provisioners'
Yeah, we
quarters.
call it provisioners'
Okay,
quarters.
it was right when I first said it. So what if they somehow managed to get in there, like infiltrated, and that's why this is a main issue right now. Why we're taking the steps is because they actually stole from the monastery itself.
One time, or is it something that's happened more than once?
I think this might be the first time.
Okay.
I think first time makes sense.
And this is what has finally caught the monastery's
it's like
attention.
they can't ignore the
Yeah, this is the catalyst. Like
right. They can't ignore the threat.
Yeah, like
longer.
before it was like, okay, these guys are just kind of annoying little thing, but now they've actually managed to steal from the Monastery of Justice. Like, what the hell is that?
Right. And
Huge slap in the face.
When we do this, can we have a scene lead into another scene? Or is it just one scene and then it's over?
We can. It's kind of like that. There's reactions. You can take a reaction, but usually it's a scene and then we go to the next scene. It's not like we can have them lean into each other. We can work it out.
Okay. I just think after talking to the sheriff or after talking to the city guard, that Cassidy would go straight to Lord Justice.
Okay.
Tell him about it. You know what I mean? Tell him about it and give him her 2 cents.
Yeah. So why don't you do this scene with do the scene with Cassidy and names. I gotta remember the names. Cassidy and Delaney. That's who we're doing here right now, correct?
Yeah, what was the captain of the guard's name?
Wait, my main character has to be here though.
Why?
Right.
No, for
It's
to
well,
start this.
that's part of why I was asking too. If we can lead into another scene from here, where it
play a scene
I come
with
to
your
your
main
character.
character.
Well, it could be the same thing. What if? So what if the cloaks have been the like city guards problem this whole time, and we can do a scene with Lord Justice and the sheriff about what do we do now. Like now they are definitely on our radar. What do we do?
Yeah.
Instead of going to the captain of the guard.
I think this scene takes place in the halls of justice. I think we all three are there. I think Brett and I are playing our main characters, and Orion, you're playing.
Yeah, I think that works. I think that's a good way to start this off. Okay. And is this like right after?
I think we are discussing.
Okay, yeah.
I think we are discussing whether or not to collaborate with the city guard.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So it's going to be, I assume, are the three of us talking, or are we using the stage to get up and like voice opinions? And
I think it's a discussion of the three of us. I don't. There might be other people here, but I don't think it's like a speech type situation or anything. I think we're.
But it's also not.
Let me read the playing the scene section.
But it's also
here.
not hush hush, right? Like we're okay with people over here.
Yeah, playing the scene. You want to read it out loud? I'm on that page too.
Yeah. Once you know who, what, and where, you're ready to role play together and see what happens. When you are in a scene, show us what your character says, thinks, and does. Talk about the crossroad. Find out what other characters think about the crossroad. Use your role. If you feel like it doesn't fit your character anymore, change your role. Respect the roles other characters have. Recognize that their contributions are true. Don't ignore or deny them. If you want to stop or overcome something, fight or fix it. If you want to undo what someone is doing with their role or don't think what they're saying about the kingdom should be true, overthrow their role and take it for yourself. The player who made the scene can also describe more details or action that unfolds in the scene. If you are not playing a character in the scene, sit back and watch, but pay close attention. What's happening now will shape how you play later on. You may want to make a reaction after the scene. In the scene earlier than later, if you've learned something new or seen a character make a choice or be confronted by a choice they can't yet make, that's a good scene. And then there's a playing minor characters, which applies to Orion here. Your main characters are the focus of the game. Anyone else is a minor character, no matter how important they may seem. They are there to bring the setting to life and help us explore the main characters, but it's not their story. If you're playing anyone other than your main character in a scene, you do not have a role and cannot use any role abilities. If your main and minor characters are both in the scene, you can loan your minor character to someone else to play. Your minor character doesn't have to agree with popular opinions established by Touchstone, because they are your character, but if they don't, they are in the minority. Now, this is where we can, instead of having Lord Law in the scene, I can instead loan Orion Delaney, and the captain of the guard could have been summoned to the monastery to be a part of this discussion.
Yeah, that's up to you. I'm fine with either, because I think Lord Law would have stuff to say here, but he doesn't have a role, so it's just going to be him voicing his opinion, basically, and then you guys will do what you do. Or we can have Delaney.
I think it's important that we see that dynamic play out sooner than later. So let's just make it Lord Law.
So meeting hall, or do we want to actually be in Lord Justice's personal quarters for this? Do we want this to be like a more private interaction?
I kind of like it being more private, right? With it being the big three, and this being a big decision.
Yeah. So we're in the barbershop.
But also, it's Carson's scene, right? So
yeah, it is Carson's scene.
So
where do you want this to be? I said, okay, so we're in the barbershop.
Yeah, there we go.
Where are we at, Carson?
So I think we are in Aaron's personal quarters. He has a sitting room. When you enter his quarters, it's pretty Spartan in its decoration. It isn't extravagant. He's got a rug, but it's, plain and not incredibly rich. He's got some plain wooden pieces of furniture. To the left is an office. There's another room. It's an office. Just a desk, some chairs. Barely a cushion to sit on. And to the right is a bedroom. It's equally Spartan as well. But I think all three are in the office. Aaron is sitting behind his desk, and he has summoned the other two here.
Yeah, Lord Law is standing to the right of the desk a little bit.
As he should be.
He's not facing, he's not going to stand directly in front of Lord Justice. He is standing to about a few feet to the right of where the desk is, so Lord Justice would have to turn to face him.
Okay, well then. When Cassidy comes in, she takes her hat off and hangs it on a hat rack by the door, and she walks over and moves over to the right of Lord Law and props up against the wall, leans casually against the wall. So, her intention is, now it's not awkward that Lord Justice is having to turn to like look at Lord Law because he's got to turn to look at both of them so he can just kind of fix his posture to where now it's kind of like we're all just standing in front of each other. Even though we're a little off to the right of his desk.
Yeah. Lord Law is standing with his hands like behind his back. He's wearing full plate armor where it's black, but the edges, like the trim, is white to match the color scale of the monastery. And I think he just looks at Lord Justice and like raises an eyebrow.
I've brought you both here today because we can no longer ignore what is happening with the cloaks in this city. They have now stolen directly from us.
The only reason we ignored what was going on is because you would not let me bring the full force of the law against them.
Now, I don't think that's necessarily true. I feel like the reason we haven't helped is because we've thought that we were too good to help, honestly, if I can be frank with the two of you. And this is just a captain of the guard problem. Also, we send too many monks outside into the world, outside of the city, to solve other problems when we have a big problem in our city here. And the more responsible thing to do would be to call some of them back if we're going to help handle this problem.
Truth be told, I did not expect the cloaks to be as well equipped and able as they are. It is clear that we are not dealing with rank and file amateurs.
The city guard should have squashed them when they first became an issue, instead of letting them grow strong and preying on the guard's own weaknesses. This should not have become a problem for us to begin with. And I do not see why we are dealing with it, why we should have to deal with it now. The city guard should just... We should be the city guard.
Cassie's definitely going to let you talk first, Lord Justice, since you were speaking.
This is our problem now. They have hit us here at home. And this is our city. We may not be officially affiliated with the guards, but at the end of the day, they are our brothers and sisters in seeking justice. If we can collaborate with them and put an end to this sooner, then I think we are all the better for it. And you will have a chance to seek your justice, Law.
And they've grown like this not because of the guards, but because of us. Because we did not stomp them out when we could have. We left it to the guards. We should have known better. But also, we have to do this delicately. We cannot just take over the investigation, the whole case. We can't just storm down there and tell the guards that it's ours now. It's been theirs for so long. We have to be careful. We have to work with them and make them
there
feel
are
like
laws
our equals.
in place for us to take over in this case, and we will follow this law. I think Lord Law turns and starts to walk out.
Cassidy
This
will let
is
him.
a collaboration. This will be a collaboration, Law. This will not be us taking over and removing the authority of the city guard that does no one any good.
He stops at the door. Their authority, what little they have, will not be removed. It is the law. And then he walks out.
Aaron holds his forehead in his hand for a moment and looks at Cassidy and says, I'll need you to go speak with them.
Yes, sir.
Tell them that they have our support. Get whatever information you can from them. And see if you can get Delaney to come to the monastery so that I can speak with her personally.
I'll bring her, but I do want to, before I go, and she's started leaving, like she walks to the door, she gets her hat, she's adjusting it on her head. Says, like I said, this is a delicate situation. We have to respect the guards' authority here and not talk down to them, not take this case over from them. We could still find the cloaks and put an end to all this and handle it in a way by not working with them like we should, to where we cause an unfixable rift, honestly, between ourselves and the city guard. But if
I have my ear to the ground, Cassidy, I have heard the rumblings of civil unrest in the city.
and if we do this right,
I know it as well as I know that there is a Fisher here.
If we do this right, it could.
His eyes linger on the door.
It could.
Go ahead.
It could bring back a respect between us and the guards that I honestly haven't seen in my lifetime. I've only heard about from people that have been here longer than I have, and I do hope we can find that middle ground with them. But I will go to the guard's office right now. And she leaves.
And I think that's scene.
Do you have a prediction, Brett?
Yeah, that was it in the end, right? So because it seems like we're gonna work with them no matter what, right? So, basically, if we work with the guards, well, hang on. How do I do a prediction? I say,
if
yes or no.
You have to have a yes prediction or a no prediction. It's not if or. So if yes to working with the city guards, this will happen. Or you do a if no, this will happen.
Okay, so I think it's more if we work with them the right way, right? If because I think we could work. I mean, unless Carson just throws a total curveball here, it sounds like no matter what, we are going to work with them. So it's like if we work with them and treat them as equals and partners, then it could begin to heal the friction there, and maybe bring some new respect to each side. And if it's no, if we don't do that,
so
then it would cause the rift to grow and maybe be unfixable.
So basically, if yes, it begins to heal friction.
And if no, the friction becomes irreversible. So many tabs.
So after every scene, each player can narrate what their main or minor character thinks or does about what is happening, even if they weren't in the scene. Your reaction is a short monologue. To make a reaction, say where you are and what you see, think, or do. Instead of role-playing or going into detail, simply summarize what happens. But even though your narration must be brief, you can still describe taking big action. So their description is, after a scene where the rebel leaders argue that they shouldn't take any risks, Callie's player decides to take matters into her own hands. She makes a reaction. Callie is with a small team of partisans in a utility tunnel beneath the invaders' landing field. She places a bomb and blows the whole place sky high. Done.
Wow.
If you make a reaction with your main character, you can use the same abilities as you could during a scene. Use your roll, change roles, fight or fix, or even overthrow. You can describe other characters being present if you need to, but summarize what happens instead of role-playing. Reactions let you show how your main character responds immediately instead of waiting for a later scene.
Can my reaction involve someone else's minor character and I still just say what happens?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just making sure. I'm seeing if right now I'm kind of looking at perspective to see if your prediction has to be a yes or no, or if it can be both at the same time. Because you can make more than one description or prediction. I just don't know.
So I think like my prediction was: will we work well with the guards, or will we work well with the guards? Yes.
Well, the crossroad is
no.
The crossroad. Yeah, the crossroad right now is will we work with the guards to end this trouble? So that's the crossroad, right, Carson?
But it says that I can complicate the
Yes.
crossroads by predicting problems we didn't expect. Pressure other characters by predicting things they would want to stop. Oh, but that. I'm reading out loud.
Will the kingdom work with the city guard? Is basically the crossroad. If yes, which you're putting, if yes, it begins to heal friction between the sides. If no, friction gets worse. Okay.
Like, you could make things more complicated for me, because I have yet to make my decision as the power. You could say, if yes, the monastery's authority is weakened because people see the city guard as a more valid law enforcement office than they used to, right? And that could make me think twice about my actual decision.
Or if no, some bad shit happens. Check a box, Carson. Check the next box on the crossroad, but if you think the kingdom is in trouble or heading towards it, you check a crisis box instead. Which one are you thinking about checking? Think it's just a crossroad box, or do you think it's...
Yeah, I think it's just a crossroad box. I don't think we're in crisis.
That makes sense. I'm trying to remember how many crossroads we're supposed to have.
Like at a time? Or total?
Well, how many times you're supposed to check a box? I think it's like one more time than players there are. Yeah, that's what it is. It's one more box than the number of players. So
I can do my thing again, right? When I do my scene, I can make another. Yeah,
we go until 4 crossroad boxes are checked. That's how long we go.
Okay.
So that was just that. This is just Carson's turn still, technically. So Carson's turn is so technically he started the crossroad. That's his turn. Then he made the first scene. Then check a box, which he just did. Reactions. Everybody can have a reaction now. Then if all the boxes for the crossroad or crisis are full, we come to a conclusion. Well, they're not going to be full. Now the next player goes. We skip the crossroad thing because we're not going to make a crossroad every time. So we just go to the next scene. Unless you have a reaction. I'm trying to think of any of my characters.
Well, no, if we're filling up the crossroads thing, then I think what I was going to do for reaction should just be the scene. Me going to see the sheriff.
That's fine. I think there is a reaction of dancing peace. My main character, actually. I think this is like us. The two groups are trying to see if they'll work together to stop the cloaks, and I think dancing peace has a habit of, helping people in no matter what. And I think we get, like, after the scene, they go to one of their soup kitchens, and you see them helping people who maybe the cloaks are like they're not like, they don't wear like, maybe they have like a certain type of cloak that they wear, or maybe there's just something on them that lets people know who they are, but not everybody. So it's not like, it's like they have a red lining to the inside of their cloaks that isn't visible unless they show it to somebody. And I think we see Dancing Peace like still giving food out to some
people
cloaks.
That he knows are.
Yeah, that he knows are cloaks, and he's still helping them, and like maybe they're still just seen as people.
Mm-hmm. So I actually do have a reaction. I don't know if this is technically what I'm supposed to do, or if it'll matter long term. But I think after this meeting, Cassidy talks to Rashk about what happened. And he definitely sides with Lord Law, and I think goes to Lord Law's chambers afterwards, just to get advice and talk about how basically if they were going to take the investigation away from the city guard, which is what he thinks they need to do, how should they handle that? What should the first steps be? And
I like that a lot. Okay. All right.
Delaney is in her office at the guards at the barracks and is poring over paperwork. The cloaks are so much more active in the city than they used to be. Honestly, she's racking her brain with how she can deal with it. She doesn't understand why the monastery isn't stepping in. They're obviously better equipped to deal with something of this size. There's even a report in here that they've stolen from the monastery, and the sheriff walks into her office.
Miss Delaney. So she walks in.
We don't need to do a scene.
Okay. I thought that was going to be our scene.
No. He's already done his scene. But no. I think what, since I'm the touchstone, since Dancing Piece is the touchstone, I think what their scene was meant to show, basically, is that even though the city guard and maybe the monastery are going against the cloaks, that they're actually still kind of accepted among the people, and they're still being helped by the people of the city itself. Maybe they're not seen as, like, evil criminals as much as everybody else seems to think because they're stealing weapons.
And maybe not using the weapons, right, again, on the city.
Yeah. Maybe they got ulterior motives, we don't know. But so yeah, I'm supposed to say it by how my character feels, not how the people feel. So it should be like, so it should have been like Dancing Piece is like, the scene would have been Dancing Piece is still like spooning out soup to a couple figures in cloaks, and they kind of flash the inside of their hoods, and you see like a red lining that marks that they're actually the cloaks. And I think Dancing Piece just feels like this isn't a bad thing that they are here, that they
Didn't it say your character doesn't have to agree with the...
Yeah, it's about what the people feel.
Somewhere. Like, your character could actually be like, oh no, I can't serve these people, they're bad people. But as touched on, you can still say, but the community still accepts them.
Yeah, well, the as touchstone, what my character feels is what the community feels. My minor character does not have to agree with everybody else. It doesn't have to agree.
Gotcha.
Our characters don't have to agree. But as touchstone, I think Dancing Piece feels like the cloaks aren't such a bad thing, and they think that they're actually probably just another side of the people here. But yeah, I think that's part of their reaction. Trying to make sure I get these rolls right. Alright. So that's technically Carson's turn. So we, I guess, go to me? Are we just going to go in that same ABC and rotating order?
That's fine with me.
Well, we still need to resolve the turn, don't we?
Probably.
Resolve time passes. When you make time pass after resolving a crossroad, you take a break from the action and let some time go by in the kingdom before facing the next challenge. It is a lull in the drama.
We haven't resolved the crossroad, though. So the result, the result. So the crossroad. So when you go look at your turn, the crossroad is, you made the crossroad just now, and we have to go through turn 2, 3, and 4 until we actually resolve the crossroad, which isn't done until we check 4 of the crossroad boxes, which are done. They're checked by the person whose turn it is. So technically, it'll be
checked by making more predictions, though, and
they're just checked by. So after I do my scene, I'll check a box, and it just depends on how I feel the scene is done. So, like, if I'm gonna do my scene, which will be my main character, so it will actually be another scene with, Dancing Piece. So I'll do a scene with Dancing Piece, and I'm trying to decide who. And then once that scene is done, I will check a box, and then you guys can have all your reactions and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's worth noting, too, that we can bring people in as minor characters that aren't even our designated minor characters to better fill out a scene. We don't have to try to shoehorn one of our 6 different characters or 5 other characters with the main character. Like, we could create some minor characters like a member of the Cloaks or like a, prominent member of the civilian community who could, one of us, Brett, if Orion's the one making the scene, you or I could play spur of the moment, and that character may never be seen again, but they were a part of that scene.
I think. So. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
So we just keep going until this crossroad is finished, right? And then
yes,
on the next, and then someone else will make a new crossroad.
Yeah, basically, once this crossroad hits 4 boxes, we could actually decide the end of the game right there. Like, we don't have to keep making crossroads or whatever. We can go until Crisis is filled or until we feel like this is a good ending point. The game can just end at any point, basically.
Okay. Well, I like that it... See, I was doing the prediction wrong, but I think it still works the way you've typed it in. Because I was trying to change it from what Carson had made it.
Okay.
But I think I can do something with that that's like part 2. Because this is just, are we going to work with them? Yes or no? So then...
Yes.
Okay.
Will the kingdom... Because that's the crossroad, right? Will the kingdom work with the city guard?
Right.
Okay. So I think this scene is actually going to be... Dancing Piece is in the dungeons. And maybe this is like a little bit of time after the last scene. Like, literally, maybe there are more cloaks in the dungeon than there was a week ago because of all this. There's like 12 people in cloaks. And I think it's going to just be... It's going to be Dancing Piece, and it's going to be... I think it's going to be Delaney? And maybe it'll be Delaney. Okay. Maybe it'll be Delaney and Rashk. I think what Dancing Piece is doing is Dancing Piece is there with a couple of their cooks and like kitchen staff, and they're pushing trays into the dungeons. And Dancing Piece is like standing in front of Delaney and Rashk, and he goes, "Man, I haven't done. What is Dancing Piece? They are still people, and they are still the people of the city, whether they have committed crimes or not, and we will feed them as they deserve. Bread and water is not enough for a person to survive. Not well, anyways." I think mainly Dancing Piece is trying to bring some sort of, nicety to the imprisoning of all these criminals.
But feeding your enemy is a logicless tactic.
You don't know the breadth of their crimes. You do not know what these people are capable of. Yes, every person has a right to food and water and shelter. But you do not understand the harm that these people are doing in this city.
I do not care about the harm they are doing. They still deserve a decent meal. I am not bringing them steaks. I am not bringing them fine hors d'oeuvres or whatever. These are some minor appetizers and some soup. These people in this dungeon are family members to people in the city. Over there is Todd. I know his mother, and have talked with her often. Just because they have committed some minor crimes does not mean they are not still these people. These city... citizens. They are still the citizens of this city.
I admire your empathetic heart. I really do. The world would be much better off if we had more people like you. Feed these people. Perhaps someone showing them a bit of kindness will aid them on their road to reform. But I hope you won't be so naive as to believe that every criminal is going to seize an opportunity for a second chance and turn their life around. Don't do anything that is going to put you at risk.
Yes, what you should be bringing them is me, not food and water. And then Rashk storms off.
We're just gonna have a minor character storm off every single scene.
Every time.
I think Dancing Piece scratches their goat horns on their chin, and you see like flakes of I don't know, what is it, bone? Basically, like, comes off of it a little bit, and then they gesture for their kitchen staff to basically start doling out food to the prisoners. And I think basically what Dancing Peace kind of feels in this moment is that they feel that these people are being treated unjustly for the fact that they're still just citizens of the city, and there's no proof that any of them have been committing like major crimes. Okay, a little thievery, it's not a big deal. And I think in that scene, I guess I mark a box, and then you guys can have your reactions. Man, a part of me just wants to mark Crisis just for the heck of it, but I think I'm just going to do a crossroad box. Any reactions?
I think Aaron is just watching the city through a window in his chambers. He's doing the whole classic arms clasped behind his back, or hands clasped behind his back. Just watching the city, watching things go by underneath him, wondering what the cloaks might be doing next, how the meeting between Delaney and Cassidy went. Yeah.
I don't think I have a reaction for this one. Does it have to be a reaction to the scene, or just a reaction to what's going on?
Each player can briefly describe how their mainer or mine character reacts to what is happening, if they want. This lets you respond without having to wait until your turn. So it doesn't have to be exactly to this scene per se, it's just what's going on in the city. And I think what I'm trying to show through Dancing Peace, of course, is that the city itself, like the people of this kingdom, aren't exactly feeling great about what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I feel like some of that, I feel like I almost need to do a reaction to my own scene with Judge Law, to Lord Law, and maybe it does involve
Judge Dredd.
Maybe it does involve like him and Rashk, like maybe like a dozen monk soldiers all going out, and like I feel like they're probably hunting people who are wearing cloaks and like tearing cloaks off of people looking for, you know, the red lining. And if they find one, they immediately like lock them up, even if there's no proof that they've done anything. They have the red lining. And so they're like and that's like their scene is just, I picture Lord Law like standing behind these monks doing all this, and he's like standing and just watching with his like chin up in the air a little bit, as like two youths like with a little bit of red lining in their cloaks are like, the cloaks are torn off and these youths are shackled and taken away. And I think that shows there's kind of a tension building with the citizens in this.
If they resist at all, would it be illegal to kill them?
Ooh, I don't know. What? No? I think... I guess that,
Like, I mean, I guess if they resist enough that it's self-defense, right? Then it...
I think, if they were violently, I think it would be within the law to...
Yeah, not resist as in, like, voicing objections, but...
No.
So... I don't know if you can do it. Can I add to that scene, or do I do a reaction that goes deeper into that? Where...
Yeah.
And I don't know if this would make you mark Crisis. I'm not sure when you mark that, but
I think technically I marked that before, but I think there's another time I can mark stuff. I'm not sure. I gotta look at that a little bit more.
But while they're going out on these, basically unsanctioned raids, if anyone ever fights back at all, Rashk kills them.
Oh, jeez.
It's just very violent, and if they draw weapons, if they come at him, he kills them. Like, there's probably been one time where, they drew a sword and swung at him, but Rashk was clearly the better warrior and could have, disarmed him and arrested him, but instead he just went for the kill blow.
Yeah. Oof. Any other reactions or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then it's Brett's turn for a scene. I'm looking at some stuff, but go ahead, Brett.
So I don't have to play any of my characters for a scene, or does it have to be my main character if I'm starting the scene?
If you're starting the scene, it has to be your main character.
I guess we'll just do the scene where I go talk to Delaney.
Okay.
Because Lord Justice was wanting me to bring Delaney to him, correct? And them have a meeting. Or was he just wanting Cassidy to handle it?
He wanted Cassidy to have the meeting with Delaney and ask for the cooperation, and then kind of send Delaney to Aaron to speak personally. I guess really if Delaney had any lingering feelings about it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll do that scene then where Cassidy's going to come in and talk to Delaney and then kind of give her marching orders after the meeting.
Okay. Delaney's office is about as you would expect for the head of a, guards barracks in a city. Lots of gray, not a whole lot of personality, a few personal items scattered about here and there. There's a lot of paperwork all over the desk. And on like a counter behind the desk is like a stack of outgoing and incoming paperwork. There's chairs scattered about. Not scattered about. There are chairs, two facing the desk on opposite Delaney that are angled inward slightly.
Okay. And Ryan might have just stepped away. It sounded like he was talking to a kid. But if he didn't, we could say that Cassidy just brought just another lawkeeper with her.
Yeah, I don't have to be in the scene, but if I feel the need to speak up, I will. So I did just read through some of the touchstone stuff, and I get to check crisis if I want to, even when I also check a. So the crossroad box is checked every time, but so I can.
Crisis is a you thing.
Check a crisis.
Okay. That's why I didn't
know I guess crisis is mostly a touchstone thing.
Yeah, because it's listed on your turn.
Yeah.
You can opt to check crisis if you think the kingdom is in trouble, or erase a crisis if you think things are calming down. You could even check crisis twice. Yeah, so you're the only one that
no, anybody can check crisis. So check a box. Check the next box on the crossroad. But if you think the kingdom is in trouble or heading towards destruction, you can check crisis instead. But as touchstone, I can check the crossroad box and check crisis. Or I can check crisis twice. So, yeah, every time somebody has to check a box, but I can check both or either. Or, both or, what I mean.
So is it okay to do that when I start a scene? I give I name who all's here, right? So I'm like, it's my character, Delaney, and Ryan is playing like a random lawkeeper with us.
Yeah, which I might speak or might not. We'll see.
Okay.
The interesting thing about having our minor characters take roles, if we decided to do that with just the three of us, would be added predictions to things. But right now, almost all of this is just weighing on Carson, who gets to decide yes or no. Which I'm not sure if I'm really. I don't know. Do you guys feel like this is going to where we're showing that this is how do you feel this is going right now?
How do you mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel like do you feel like we each are actually showing our role and stuff actively like to help about this crossroad? Like, do you feel that
I think we are
dancing?
I think I've messed up the most by making the prediction too simplistic, but I already know what I want the next one to be.
I feel like
I think it'll get better as we play.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem right now is I feel like I'm showing how the city feels about the cloaks, but not about the actual crossroad, which is whether or not the city guards are going to help with it.
Yeah.
Which I guess the main thing I would change is that the city guard would be part of the city itself and be kind of a different view of. So maybe if we change that to where, like, dancing peace, like, is still feeling the same things, but instead of it being like the city against, maybe the city guard themselves aren't actually fully against. I don't know.
Well, I think.
How do you feel?
Our first crossroads should have been a little bit more in depth, almost. Like this one, I feel like we're spending a lot of time on this yes or no of like, will we help the city guards or not? When that
it's not really a snap decision. I mean, like, for the city who's split, that's not a. I think it's a good crossroad because it's crossroads don't have to be some crazy in-depth thing. It is literally just a yes or no. It's not supposed to show.
I just feel like it's a lot of scenes for a.
Well, that's what.
Yeah, we're gonna help or not. But I just feel like the next crossroads will build on this, right? Like, are we gonna help? Yeah. Yes. So what do we do next?
Yes.
Now that we're helping.
Well, no, like that's decided by. That's literally can be decided by Carson saying yes. They work together, and then he can play out the entire scenario from there.
Oh.
Like, this whole thing with the cloaks is done if he wants to. If he says no, the cloaks could still be taken care of, but the city guard and, your prediction, that's what your prediction's about. So if Carson, as the power, says, yes, they work together, then your prediction of if yes, it heals friction, cool, that part will be played in, like, it's basically, all of this leads up to the final scene of everything, of what all happens, and then we can do a what's it called, the time, what is it, Carson? Takes time for whatever. Time passes, where we could literally say 2 years later is the next crossroad, and it could be something completely different that doesn't even have to deal with the cloaks. Maybe the cloaks isn't even a threat anymore.
Okay.
So that's like, when we're doing this about Sothori, I have a crossroad that's going to be, it will basically involve what's happening pre-God campaign. And then I'm going to do a time passes to after the Rising, which will be years later. So it's going to be like a multiple tiered thing. Okay.
See, I didn't understand.
So each crossroad.
I thought the crossroad was going to be resolved.
Yeah, so this.
Yes, we help the guards. All right. Now, like, next day. But it could be yes, we help, and all of this done. Could. So I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and all of this could be happening over a span of like weeks itself. Like, this crossroad isn't like a yes or no. It's okay, we're doing all of this. Yes. But it could be like literally weeks for all these scenes to take place. So. Sorry. I know you were in the middle of your turn, and I just completely derailed us, but...
No, you're fine.
I'm trying to hammer out exactly what this game is.
Yeah, like, I'm learning on the fly.
I think this is a...
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. I don't know how you're feeling, Carson.
No, I mean, I'm enjoying this. This is... I feel like we started with maybe... I feel like your first scenario needs to be simple so people can understand their roles and understand what it is that they're capable of doing. This crossroads is very simple, but I think it does set the stage. We are exploring more of the city. We are exploring more of the NPCs and minor characters who are going to probably become recurring. We are figuring out who people are and, figuring out people's relationships, and that is going to be able to let us build more complexity as we move forward.
I'm enjoying this. I think it's I
like it.
I'm really glad that we decided
And
to
it's
do
only
this
gonna get
together
better.
because I think the three of us getting a handle on all this will help when I actually try to open up this to more players to build Sathori. Because I think I'd like to have 5 to 6.
I think it is very important that we've done this tonight.
Yes.
If we're going to play Kingdom with, especially a larger
Yes.
group.
For sure.
So let's do the rest. Let's do all of Brett's turn. Sorry, I don't even remember where we were now. Did you do your scene, or have we just started it?
We just started.
We were in Delaney's
Okay.
office. We haven't done the scene yet.
My mind was like going through. Okay, how does this work, and is this working right, and are we doing this right? So, yeah, okay. Let's do this scene, and let's do all of Brett's turn, and then we'll do Carson's turn. And as long as we've checked off the right amount of boxes, we'll wrap up tonight with the end of this crossroad.
All right.
So yeah, let's do your stuff, Brett.
So, when Cassidy comes in with this other lawkeeper, she walks in and like nods to Delaney, and she takes her hat off and she moves to the to a chair that's across the desk from Delaney, and she goes to lay her hat down on Delaney's desk and then sees the scattered papers everywhere. So hesitates and kind of tosses it in a chair next to her. And she says, well, Captain, I think it's safe to assume you know why I'm here. Oh, I lost her voice. But
I feel like it was
yeah,
more
it
southern.
was. And I threw some Theron into it.
Yeah, it was more southern than you usually are.
But, right. It's easy to just slip into. Well, Captain, I think it's pretty obvious why I'm here. Yeah. Here's throwing me.
We are not professional voice actors, nor have we ever claimed to be.
Nope. I can't even.
Dancing Piece's voice is definitely going to change.
And I can't even do a southern accent.
Which is your normal accent. Just get Caleb on the call real quick, listen to him talk for a minute, and then we'll get back into it.
I'm sure you've heard that the monastery was the newest victims of the cloak's raid, shall we call it.
I have heard that. That is rather surprising, if I'm honest, but they seem to be rather good at what they do.
Honestly, if I can speak frankly with you, I'm glad it happened, because I don't think that the lawkeepers were taking the cloak seriously enough, which is something I've been telling them, and that there's been a lot of lawkeepers that act like this problem could just easily be stamped out, and the city guard should have done it long before now. But I think this has finally caught everybody's attention and made them realize that this is no simple matter.
I think Delaney has both elbows on the desk and is like still kind of leaned over the desk and is looking up without, picking her head up to look Cassidy straight in the eyes and says, "It's not for a lack of trying."
And I understand that. You simply don't have...
This organization is well beyond the scope of what we can handle. I honestly, I don't even know how many there are or what all that they are doing. I don't know if this is the only... I know that this isn't the only city that they're working in fact. But to do it right underneath the nose of the monastery? They're bold. And the only reason you're bold like that is if you're confident.
Yes, well, me and you together are going to put that confidence to the test. I intend for us to work this case together. And I don't want you to think that the lawkeepers are swooping in and taking this from you and saying that you couldn't handle it. I understand you've not had the manpower to work this along with all the other responsibilities. So I want me and you to work this case together as equals and bring these cloaks to the justice they deserve.
Delaney picks her head up and meets Cassidy's gaze. I'm happy to hear you don't want to usurp our authority. The rift between the citizens of the city and its law enforcement is significant, and it wouldn't do to further that more by creating some sort of competition between the guard and the monastery. We will gladly accept any help that you can give, and if there's anything you need from me, please feel free to ask. I look forward to our collaboration. I hope we can root out the source of these cloaks soon and see this matter resolved.
I intend for me and you to be partners in this. And if you prefer it, I can leave a small force of lawkeepers here with you, with express instructions to follow your orders in matters related to this. But if you think that would be viewed by yourself or the other guards as stepping on your toes, then I understand. I just want you to know I'm here to help, and I want us to do this together as partners and equals.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think with that, she gets up, she puts her hat on, and says something about she's got to report back to the monastery.
And then the lawmaker that she brought with her stays there, though, to be of assistance.
Well, did she want some to stay?
No, I don't think she actually did want any to stay. I think maybe they discussed patrol routes, and you can see signs of clear collaboration when the two patrolling teams, a team of people of lawkeepers from the monastery and a team of guards pass each other. They nod, they acknowledge the other's presence. There isn't any turf war or anything like that going on. They're obviously working in tandem, but no, there is still very much a separation, signifying that each does still maintain their own authority. And it isn't like Big Brother is coming in to swoop in and save the day.
Lots of late nights between Cassidy and Delaney, poring over files and looking for clues, ordering Thai food. All right. So I think I make a prediction on. I'm trying to think of the right word on how this information is going to be, on how this collaboration is going to be told to the public, basically, like what's going on here. Because if it's got to be yes or no.
Yeah, if yes,
I always want it to be. I always want it to be A or B.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the kingdom works with the city guard.
Oh, it still has to be a prediction with that. Oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be exact predict. It still has to be yes or no about the crossroad overall, but it can be a little bit. Let's see.
Complicate the crossroads.
It can be about this.
By predicting problems we didn't expect. But does that mean originally I could have done that, or now I can add another prediction?
Tell us what will happen to the kingdom if we choose one of the outcomes. As soon as you describe your character saying something about our future, you can declare its true prediction. You can make as many predictions as you want, foreseeing good or bad for the kingdom as wish.
I got one.
Preferred choice. Yeah.
So if we work with the city guard, yes. To the public, it'll seem like the lawkeepers forfeited a lot of their power to the city guard for some reason. Make them look bad, right? They still just let the city guard handle this problem. And if no, then it will look like it'll be taken by the public more like the lawkeepers kind of imposed martial law and took it away from the guards and were like, they don't know what they're doing. So we have to just step in and take over.
I have a prediction. I know it's not my role, but I'm just saying anyway. If yes, Delaney and Cassidy are going to fall in love.
If no, one of them dies.
So you're giving us consequences regardless of what of what we choose, what I choose here, huh? How dare you make it representative of life?
If yes, it weakens the strength of the monastery. If no, the monastery appears tyrannical.
Position is weakened.
So basically, it's not weakened, but it's definitely less compassion. Are you checking a crisis box or a crossroad box?
Crossroad.
I don't think this is heading. I don't think this is us heading towards disaster. Yeah. I think this is still just a crossroads box. I think even with those predictions, the position is recoverable.
Reactions to this scene. Oh man, do I want to make this worse? A part of me wants to make this worse. I'm just trying to decide if it would actually. Okay, my reaction. You guys gave me the freaking Lord of Law. I would have just taken Barbara Van. Lord Law.
I think Lord Law needed to be represented, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think my reaction is we get a scene of. I think it's just Lord Law with a number of his closer, his soldiers, his cadre of soldiers, and this time, maybe it's like a minor precinct of the law enforcement. Maybe it's just a guardhouse, but they go to a guardhouse and arrest a couple of the town guards for being, for aiding and abetting cloaks in their. I think he has actual proof, but it's not like, because he's lawful. I'm not going to say he's lawful good at all. I think he's lawful neutral. He is following the law. And this law is that these guys were...
That is actually a judge's alignment is lawful neutral.
Aiding and abetting, because these guardsmen actually live in the same home as some of the cloaks, because they're family. And they were aware of their family members' actions.
Yikes.
And so these guardsmen, so now there is, and I don't know if I can, I guess we'll just, if I can tie this in with Dancing Peace a little bit, I guess, if we can let this. I think Dancing Peace is feeling, maybe not. But yeah, I think that's just, I think that's going to be it. I think Revel is just seen, and maybe it's not even just one little guardhouse. Maybe there's multiple occasions over like a span of like 2 or 3 days where guards are now being arrested. City guards are being arrested by the monks with actual proof that they know who some of the cloaks are. And since this is my minor character and everything, I can't check anything, but...
Okay, I've got a reaction. With all of this...
Sorry, one thing I should say is we haven't discussed it all, and we haven't really done it all, is challenging. You can challenge... And I kind of been letting it go because I kind of figured we could get some of the other stuff down, and maybe we'll challenge in the future, but I do want to mention it now just because.
Oh.
Because I like making things complicated.
I think this is what I was going to do with my reaction, but I didn't know I could actually...
I'm trying to find the actual term, like the page for challenging.
Oh, with their role. So I can't do it to a minor character. Stop something another character does or establishes with their role. Declare your target. Show how you challenge. Defender decides outcome. Yes, no, or yes.
Where?
Yes, no,
what page
yes,
are you on right now?
Because
Because I am having trouble finding challenge.
Oh, I'm on the reference sheet.
Where is challenges? Change your role, touchdown, perspective rolls. Reactions, overthrow someone's roll. It's not overthrowing a roll. Why can't I find challenges? Stop something another character does or establishes with their role. Declare your target, show how you challenge. So that would be with their rules. So yeah, my minor character, you wouldn't be able to challenge this. Okay. Because it's not... I feel...
Oh, because you are maybe overthrowing them with a challenge. Okay.
Can you challenge... I don't know if you can challenge a scene. I think you would have to just do a normal reaction that would...
It's with their role. Like, if Carson said, yes, we're helping the city guard, I could challenge that.
Yeah.
And try to stop him. And I declare him as my target, and I show how I challenge, and then he gets to decide, yes, it works, no, it doesn't work, or yes, it works if you take these certain steps. If you challenge someone's role and fail... you can immediately escalate to overthrow.
So this isn't really a challengeable thing. This is just something that I decided to bring into the world for you.
So I think I'd go back to the reaction then, and we get a scene of Cassidy storming into Lord Law's office and scolding him and berating him for trying to take the law into his own hands. She would tell him things like she's disappointed with him because she would think with how respectful and how he holds the law to a higher standard than most people, that he would see what he's doing. And she would accuse him of just trying to be a thorn in the side of Aaron. While he's trying to make peace with the guards, you're out arresting guards.
He would literally have a binder of proof, like witnesses of actual... He would literally be showing Cassidy... I don't even know if he would just be like, I am the law, I am following the law to the T. This is the law. And he would I don't think he would show all the evidence unless asked, but he would literally show where the law says this is illegal.
And I think that's actually a good way for the scene to end, is while she's talking, he's just kind of very stoic and pulls out a book and just flips through some pages and stops, and she realizes what he's doing, walks over and looks and is reading the things in it and sees that he clearly isn't breaking any laws and he is following the law, even though he's kind of doing all the other things she said, and she throws her hands up and storms out.
Anything else for this turn? Any reaction, Carson?
Law is imprisoning these guardsmen.
Yes.
That are breaking the law.
They're getting soup and appetizers. That they are breaking the law, technically. He is upholding the law to the letter.
Ugh, it's not good, but Arn frees them.
Oh, no.
I can't have a minor character over...
Now, hang on.
Oh, this is the only problem with Law
can
not
I challenge
being a major
that,
character right now.
Or
yes,
can I only challenge it if they use their role?
Because he is using his role. He is the power. He can say yes, or he tells people what to do, and they do it.
So I declare my target, right? Which would be Aaron. Show how you challenge. So I think when Aaron releases them, Cassidy just happens to be in the dungeon at the time, and Aaron has sent someone to release them, he's pardoned them, and she has enough pull that she vetoes it for the moment with the person that's there to free them, and goes to see Aaron and tells him things are...
I think Arn went down himself to get them out of their cells.
Oh, that's even better then. She stops him, stands in between him and the cells when he's there, and would tell him, you cannot do this. The rift, we are being pulled too many ways right now. You cannot start a civil war inside the monastery, especially when Revel is right. He has every right to arrest these people. I don't like it any more than you do. But there's nothing we can do about it without causing something. You know Revel's gonna cause a big stink over
orders
this.
were for us to work with the guard. There was a way Revel could have gone about this that would have seen the guard take care of these matters in-house. I am allowing them to do that. The law will still be followed to the letter. It will just be done through the proper channels. Now out of my way.
So does that mean
So
they're still going to be arrested?
if he says no, he says no.
Well, is that a no or is that a yes if?
Well, okay. So
Like, are you just releasing them or are you putting them in cuffs and giving them to the guards?
Maybe Delaney is here too.
And okay. Cassidy, I mean, when he says get out of the way, Cassidy just moves out of the way. Lets it happen.
To the barracks. See, this is why you keep the scenes going, though. Man. This is getting tense.
Okay.
We're going to have to call it a night soon, boys. I'm tired.
No, I was going to say we might want to wrap it up just now.
Yeah.
We could even say this is done. Like, do you think... Which way are you going to... Let's just do it. Let's just wrap it up. Carson, which way do you vote? Yes or no?
Towards working with the guard? On the crossroad?
Yes.
I vote yes, we will work with the guard.
Okay. Each player with power says which path they make the kingdom choose on the crossroad. No one else gets to vote. Describe how your character makes it happen. If you can't explain how your character uses their power to affect the outcome, you can't vote. So you're saying you're the only power. But does Aaron just literally give the order? You guys are working together.
There is an assembly in the Hall of Justice of even mid-ranking staff of the monastery, and I think that Aaron has even brought your tiefling's name is Dancing Peace. I was thinking Dances with Peace, but I knew that wasn't right. Dancing Peace. I think Aaron has even brought Dancing Peace to be essentially a witness for the people of the city. And that collaboration is the best route through which to heal the rift between law enforcement and the people of the city, and also see that the city is taken care of in terms of fixing the issue with the cloaks. I don't think he publicly calls out law during this meeting. I think Delaney is there. He reiterates to everyone in the monastery that they are to work together as equals with the city guard on this matter within city walls. Monastery business is still monastery business, but this is city business, and the guard needs to be a part of that as well. And so the order is reiterated, work with the guard. And if there is an in-house matter, like guardsmen breaking the law, then that is an issue for the guard to settle, unless Delaney herself comes to the monastery and says, we need your assistance in handling this.
Can you do reactions to those, or is it only to scenes?
We're gonna. I think we're just in the finishing up section. I don't think there's reactions to this. You can technically challenge him.
No, I wouldn't want to challenge him.
You could challenge, or you can make your character be a power and then vote no, and then it would be a stalemate. I changed now at the end of the game. The next step is step 3, which is perspective. Show the consequences. Perspective tells us whether each of your predictions on the winning side of the crossroad comes true or not. Describe your character seeing what happens. If there are abandoned predictions, there aren't any abandoned. If predictions contradict each other, I don't think so. If a perspective made no predictions, you made some. And if no one... Okay. So, your predictions are... If yes, which is what it is, it begins to heal the friction between both sides, between the monastery and the whatever,
the guard.
city guard. And if yes, weakens the strength of the monastery.
So now we say if those happen?
No, those did happen.
Yes.
Right? Or we describe how we see them happening, right?
Well, he said...
Perspective tells us whether each of the predictions on the winning side of the crossroad comes true or not. He can decide if it didn't come true.
Okay, so it's me?
So, yep. So does it begin to heal the friction between both sides?
Yeah, I think it definitely does, because he's working. Aaron is making it clear that they're working together on this, and one's not superior to the other.
Does it weaken the strength of the monastery?
100%, because the way he is handling it is by, like, he's giving them the power. He took guards that the Lord of Law arrested personally and took them out of our dungeon and gave them to the city guards. And he also said, Aaron said in his speech to everyone, that this was a city guard problem, and we're assisting with it when the last place that was robbed was the monastery. So I think it definitely weakens the strength of the monastery.
I'm deciding if I want to fight the first prediction, begins to heal the friction between the sides. I feel like Law has created more friction, and while Aaron has tried to fix that, I feel like the friction is still there because city guards were arrested. And even if he did fix it in, after the fact, and he's made these new commands, basically, I don't know if I think there would still be a lot of friction. And then it's up to you, though. I mean, yes, I succeed. Yes, you succeed, but there is an undesirable consequence of my action, which I don't know what you want to be undesirable. Or yes, I succeed.
Where is this?
If you follow the plan they describe instead of what you said.
The reference sheet, is it?
Page 36. Fight or fix. Your main character can always try to deal with situations other players create with their rules or overcome what someone else is doing, prevent predictions from coming true, change public opinion, or break people out of prison. And you can always succeed if you're willing to do what's necessary. Your action: declare what you want to fight or fix, and who made it. Describe what you do to overcome it. The more your approach makes sense to the other player, the more likely you are to succeed. Then it's their response. That player must respond with one of these options. Yes, you succeed. Yes, you succeed, but there's an undesirable consequence, which you describe. Yes, you succeed if you follow the plan they describe instead of what you said. You can accept what they say, give up, or propose something else and try to negotiate. If you can't come to an agreement, your attempt fails. I think that Dancing Peace feels that there is still way too much tension, and that there was way too much tension building up to this.
Okay.
So you have to give one of those responses.
I don't know if it's if this is yes, but definitely yes.
Or yes.
I just don't know. I just don't know. Oh, it has to be yes, doesn't it?
Yeah, you must provide one of the yes options as your first reply. You can't simply say no. It doesn't work. But after that, you are free to negotiate however you want.
Help your cause. So I like your argument. So I don't think I should put it there. So I will say yes, you succeed.
Yeah. Okay. So then that means that prediction does not come true. It does not heal the friction, and in fact, okay, but yeah, yes. It does weaken the strength of the monastery, which really helps with the added friction too. And that is perspective. And then touchstone. Show how you feel. Tell us how your character feels about everything that happened. That's how the people of the kingdom feel too. Describe your character seeing how the people react. Then check or uncheck up to 2 crisis boxes to reflect that. If someone wants to stop the people from feeling the way you do, they have to fight or fix it to persuade the people. I love that. Remember, you cannot change roles once you've used your roles. So if you vote as a power, you're made decisions as predictions. Okay. So describe your character seeing how the people react. I think Dancing Peace is like out trying to do his soup kitchens, and there just aren't people coming because he works for the monks, and he is feeling this tense stress that the people are feeling toward the monks, that there's this heavy friction going on, and that there is now a separation between himself and the people of the city that he might not be able to step over anymore. Step around, step over, I don't know. And I'm going to check 2 crisis boxes, because I feel like this is heading toward a crisis.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
That's probably fair.
It's getting bad.
After the crossroad. The crossroad is now finished. If all the crisis boxes are checked, resolve the crisis now, which...
How many are
they're
there?
not all checked. There are... I think it's the same amount... They have 6 here, but I think it's the same amount as the crossroad boxes. I could be wrong on that, though. I'll have to double check. They're to the left of locations on the Excel sheet.
So we have 3 crisis box checked.
Yep, I've checked 3.
Wow. Okay.
The crossroad is now finished. If all the crisis boxes are checked, resolve the crisis now. Next, decide as a group whether you want to break in the action to let months or even years go by before your next crossroad. If you do, resolve time passes now. Only make time passes if everyone agrees. We don't have to resolve the crisis because there is not a crisis technically yet. So basically, we're at the outcome. What's the result of this? Show the.
Do we want to jump to the
yeah? Let's just do that. How does this play out? How do you feel this all plays out, Brett? Or should this be Carson because he was power?
I don't know who makes.
I mean, it can be
who decides.
I mean, we're talking about how it shakes out.
Power.
We're talking about.
Oh wait, never mind.
I feel like that's more of like a perspective thing, honestly, because I don't feel like power gets to see both sides of that.
Yeah, I mean,
it could even be touched.
Yeah.
It's best to say so when the last crossroad is being created so that everyone knows to build toward a suitable finale. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to say this is the end of this whole thing, but this is the end of this crossroad. So this is literally after the crossroad. So it's just after the crossroad. It's now finished. Next, decide as a group whether you want a break. So basically, okay. We voted yes. That means the city guard and the kingdom work together. The monastery works together. So we just have to describe, is that effective? Does the 2 of them working together actually like stop the cloaks? Or does it, like, we're describing this as if it was like a cutscene at the end of the movie or something.
We've got to factor in our predictions there and how that affects how the events play out, right? So like,
yeah,
the rifts didn't exactly heal between the groups, so they were probably not functioning all that well to do their jobs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It takes longer than it should.
And I think just the sheer amount of bodies helps keep cloaks from moving about as freely as they were before. But if anything, it's just made the cloaks smarter about it, and there are more of them in prisons. And maybe there are some that are even beginning to infiltrate the ranks of the guard, and maybe even a few in the monastery.
I was going to propose that it takes them longer than it should, but they do, for the most part, shut the cloaks down. But in the process, realize that it is a much, much bigger operation than they thought before.
And that's where my text comes into the group.
Are they going to come back with more numbers, or should the lawkeepers have jurisdiction everywhere? Should we go find more, like, of these rings and close them down too? But if we do that, we're abandoning the city that we.
What if it works to shut them out of this city for the most part, but then they find out that this was just one like chapter of the cloaks, and that they're actually spread out throughout the entire continent, and all of the monasteries might even have some cloaks among them. Like there were people among the monks who are even cloaks. And like I said, that's where That's where my that's where my character for the campaign comes in now, where I have red lining in my cloak.
We could even extend this game of Kingdom by jumping around to different monasteries, and just, Brett, you could use that as kind of the foundations for these monasteries and the cities, the environments that's going on in them.
Do a different crossroad at every single city and monastery. I promise I won't be too bad. Yeah, now you got NPCs to put into the campaign.
Oh yeah, tons of NPCs from this.
I like it.
I am fighting.
This would have been cool too.
Sheena got home just a little bit ago, and then Ari just woke up, and I think she was wanting to stay up to do some stuff, so I need to wrap this up anyways. I like this game. I think it went pretty well. There's a lot that we gotta hammer down, but I think we did pretty well.
Especially for our first ever.
Especially with
session.
You not even having read the book before. I don't know if Carson, you had read any of it before.
I had skimmed it, and I was reading along as we went, and of course I had the experience of hearing Fat play.
Yeah, I read it and was like, I don't understand any of what's going on, and then I listened to the Kingdom game they just did again, and that really helped this time. I think a lot of it I picked up. There's still stuff that I'm like, I have no idea what this is about, but so I think it'll be good. I think this will be really good to build Sodor and Sothoria.
I would too. I was thinking this would be really cool to start it 10 years after Ulrich ascends to the heavens and build it to present day.
It's a fun game. I mean, it's crazy, and
I wanted to have a reaction scene where Aaron begins coughing up blood inexplicably.
Oh, jeez. All right, I'm gonna get off here.
Yep, I'll probably upload this tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. I probably won't even download it until sometime next week when Brett actually remembers to upload his.
Yeah. One time.
I don't. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm gonna go to sleep.
All right. See y'all.
Gotta get rid of Craig. Almost forgot again.